my bookish friends, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Ashton. I love to read, I love to collect books, and I love to yap about books. And I'm gonna be yapping about quite a few books in this video because I haven't done a monthly wrap up since January. I did one for January and then I just stopped. And I just haven't done one for Feb, March or April. So I've just decided I'm going to do it all in one video, and I'm going to talk about as quickly as I can all of the books that I've read over the last 3 months. So I'm going to start with Feb. Now, I pick 8 TBR prompt jar picks each month. I did that for February, March and April. Out of those 8 picks, I read 2, DNF'd 1, and I did actually end up starting another 2, but I still, to this day, have not finished them. Don't know what it is about those. I've got 4 books like that currently that I started in either February or March that I still haven't finished, and I don't know what it is about those books that is taking me so long to read them. It's not even that I'm not enjoying them. I am. Just can't seem to motivate myself to pick them up and actually finish them. But anyway, so in total, I managed to read 10 books in the month of Feb. Now, 2 of those were audiobooks, 1 ebook. We did 7 physical books, and we had 1 5-star read. But we also had 6 DNFs for the month of Feb. I don't remember what the DNFs are, and to be honest, it's been a few months and I don't have them written down in front of me. So there were 6 of them though in that particular month. So I was obviously a bit of a DNFing machine that particular month. So the books that I read in February, the first one we did was Love at First Night by Megan Clawson. Now this was her second book. I should have read her debut first and then this one, but I ended up reading them the other way around. And this was obviously my first experience of her, and I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. We were following Daisy and Teddy. This is set in London. In particular, this was set with them working at the Tower of London. And it was fun. I loved the vibe. I loved the setting. I loved the history. And I enjoyed the characters. And I gave it 4 stars. So, yeah, that's the first one that we did. Then I moved on to Falling Hard for the Royal Guard by Megan Clawson. And again, this one is set in London. This one, our main character, Maggie, she actually lives in the Tower of London. And obviously she ends up with a royal guard whose name is Freddie. Again, really enjoyed this one. Really enjoyed the vibe, the atmosphere, the elements of history. I gave this one 4 stars. The only things about both of these books, and the reason they didn't get rated any higher, was purely because I felt like we didn't have enough moments of the couples like together. Like, obviously we did, but I just felt like there wasn't enough moments on the romance side of it for me to be fully invested in them. That was the only reason that they didn't get higher. But thoroughly enjoyable, and I really like Megan Clawson's writing. Then I read Escape Room. I'm going to put that up here because a lot of these I don't own anymore because I've actually unhauled them. But I read Escape Room by Christopher Edge, and I'm pretty sure I gave this one 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed this. This is obviously a middle grade. I can't remember too much of what it was about, but it was basically this young girl. We follow her. She goes into an escape room. There's 3 other teenagers that are in there with her, and they've got to, you know, basically find their way out, stuff like that. Anyway, it was really good. I loved all of the kind of puzzles and the game element of it, and it had a really fun twist and ending, which I thought was really, really lovely, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Then I read The Cake Shop in the Garden by Carol Matthews, and I gave this one 3 stars. It was fine. The 3 stars were mainly for some of the side characters, because the main character, she just wound me up, and it just, I don't know, she was a right pushover, and yeah, it was fine, and it was very fast paced, which I liked, and I think because of how fast paced it was, that was the only reason I finished it. But I'd also been doing a lot of DNFing. This was actually all part of my TBR graveyard video, and obviously this is why there's 6 DNFs. I'd been doing a lot of DNFing, and I didn't want to DNF that book because I'd already DNF'd a bunch of others. So that was why I decided to keep pushing with that one, and it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. Then I read The No Show by Beth O'Leary. Really enjoyed this one as well. Gave this one a 3.75 stars. Wasn't quite a 4-star, but it was the twist, like the twist at the end, that upped it to the 3.75. Other than that, it had been very kind of like between a 3 and a 3.5. But I really, really enjoyed that one. Not my favourite Beth O'Leary. But again, I do like her writing, and I did like some of the characters. And yeah, it was fine. It was just okay, and I was glad to have had it done. Then, by the way, all of these ones that I've just spoke about, I read all of these physically. Yeah, I did. Then I listened to All the Wicked Girls by Chris Whitaker on audio. And again, I really like Chris Whitaker's writing. The writing is just so good. There's just something about it. And the characters, like, these stories are dark, and because I'd read another one of his the month before in January, and the stories are very dark and they're very gritty, but they're just so well done, and it was just beautifully done. And I just really enjoyed it. There was something about his writing that just had me hooked, and I did enjoy this one. I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than We Begin at the End, and I think I gave this one 4.5 stars. Then I read Perfect Prey by Helen Fields. This is book 2 in the D.I. Kalanar series. I think that's how you say his name. I adore Helen Fields' writing. She is just phenomenal. And again, this one, I did this one as an ebook from my Borrow box. Really, really enjoyed it. Fast paced, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. And I'm really looking forward to reading more in the series. They're very sort of, I would check trigger warnings for these books because they're very kind of graphic, and again, very dark and kind of gritty, and, you know, just check trigger warnings if stuff like that for you. Anyway, then I listened to the audio of Body of Evidence by Patricia Cornwell. This is part of the Kay Scarpetta series. I think this is book number 3. And it was fine. I had a good time. 3.5 stars. I like Patricia Cornwell's writing. I like Dr. Kay Scarpetta. She's the medical examiner, our main character that we follow. And yeah, it was just good. It was fast paced and I enjoyed it. 3.5. Then I read the only 5-star that I gave in Feb, and that was The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This was my first full-length, like, Ashley Poston novel. I'd only read something short by her before. This was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. And Florence and Benji were just great characters. I loved all the side characters. I loved the setting. And I had a great time. I really had a great time, and it was 5 stars. It was the best book that I read that month, and I'm very glad that I finally got to it, and I'm really excited for the rest of Ashley Poston's backlist. So yeah, there was that one, and then finally I read this one physically, but again, I don't own it anymore, and it was Murder Thy Neighbour by James Patterson. And this was like a true crime, it's part of a true crime sort of book series that he's got, and we follow like at least 3 different stories and 3 true crime cases, and these were all to do with like neighbours, your neighbour. And it was madness, because obviously they're true stories, and I was like, wow. And I enjoy watching true crime. Obviously I'm a thriller girly at heart. I love all that kind of stuff. And this was so fast paced, and I was just like, wow, that was crazy. And I gave that one, no, actually, I don't think I rated that one, because it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable read, but I didn't rate it, I think, because it's all true, and this is someone's life. So yeah, I don't think I rated that one. And that was everything that I read for the month of February. So in March, again, we had 8 TBR picks, and I'm just looking at my little book here. That's why you keep seeing me looking down. I have to write everything down. I managed to read 1, 2, 3. I read 4 out of my 8 TBR picks, DNF'd 1. And then again, I started the other 3 books that were left, but haven't finished them. So, you know, this is obviously a little bit of a pattern, but technically that's the best I've done on a physical TBR so far this year. I read a total of 14 books in the month of March. 5 of those were audiobooks, 5 were physical books, and 4 ebooks. And I had 3 5-star reads and 1 DNF in the month of March. So to kick it off, I read on Kindle Unlimited A Wonderland Wish on Ever After Street by Jamie Admons. This is book 3 in the little Ever After Street series, and guys, I just love these books. I absolutely devour them. I love Jamie's writing. It's so picturesque and sort of like, it's so Disney coded, and just everything I'm looking for in a nice, cute, fluffy little romance. But it also has these elements of like, you know, like there's sad, some of what these people are going through, it's sad and it's hard and it's real, but there's just such an element of hope with them, and I just love it, and I adore this series, and I can't wait to continue. I've got one more left, which is a Christmas one, and then I think a new one is coming out, so I'm very excited. So that was my first 5-star of March. Had a great time. Then I read Private Rogue by James Patterson. I listened to that one on audio. This one is part of the Private series. I do not remember what number it is. I'm like crazy far into that. I want to say it was like 16 maybe, something like that. This was a good one. I enjoy these. They're so fast paced, and again, I think I gave this one 4 stars. I think I've given most of the Private series like 4 to 4.5 stars. So yeah, enjoyed that one. Then I read Summer at the Twist and Turn Bakery by Helen Rolfe on Kindle Unlimited. This is part of the Heritage Cove series. This is such a cute little series. I think I gave this one a 3.5. I think I've given most of them between 3 and 4 stars. I think I've only given one of them 4 stars. Everything else has been 3 or 3.5. I just love this little small town coastal village with just some really great characters and just cute, fluffy, romances. And they just feel like real characters. I just feel like I could jump on a train and go to Heritage Cove and bump into Barney in the high street and go into the Twist and Turn. It's that. And I love that kind of feeling. So yeah, enjoyed that one. And then I listened to the audio of The Great Dream Robbery by Greg James and Chris Smith. Really enjoyed this one. This was so much fun. The audiobook was fantastic. This is obviously a middle grade, and obviously I would recommend reading it with your kids. But if you could all listen together, I think everyone would really, really enjoy it. It was just really fun, and it was obviously narrated by Greg James and Chris Smith. So I think I gave that one 4 stars. And yeah, I would like to listen. I think I've got another one of theirs that I want to listen to as well, just because they're so comical and they bounce off each other brilliantly, and it was just a lot of fun. Then I've got to pick up this one, but I'll just put it up here. I read Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, which is book 2 in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I enjoyed this one. This was Wes and Ada's story. This one was probably my least favourite out of all of them. Maybe. I think I'd put my favourite one was Lost and Lassoed, which I actually read straight after. And I gave Lost and Lassoed 5 stars. I gave Swift and Saddled 4 stars. So I would go Lost and Lassoed, Done and Dusted, and then I would put on equal kind of ground, I'd put Swift and Saddled and Wild and Wrangled. That's what I would do. So anyway, back to this. I read Swift and Saddled, gave it 4 stars. This was part of like a 24-hour mood reading kind of challenge that I did. And then I went straight on to Lost and Lassoed, gave that 5 stars. Then I read The People Before by Charlotte Northedge. This was kind of weird, but it was fast-paced and just over 300 pages, so it was perfect for the 24-hour challenge that I was doing. And I gave that one 3 stars. Then while I was doing that, I was also in the middle of listening to the audiobook of Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Maz. I'm not sure how she says that or how that's pronounced. I enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm looking forward to book 2. Was it amazing? Was it like mind-blowing? No, it wasn't, but I had a good time and I was entertained, and enough that I want to read the next one. So yeah, 4 stars for that one. Then I read Healing Hearts at Bumblebee Barn by Jessica Redland. I love Jessica Redland's writing. There's just something about it that's just so comforting, and it's just always a good time. And I always end up having a little bit of a cry, which I love. So I gave this one 4 stars. I think I've given everything I've read so far from Jessica Redland 4 stars. So she's a really good, solid author for me. And I'm excited to read some more of her backlist as well. Then I did the ebook of The Night Whispers by Caroline Mitchell, which is book 2 in the Slayton thrillers. Again, this is just under 300 pages, so it's nice, quick, easy. And I gave that one 3 stars as well. And then I think that was everything that I'd managed to get through in... 4 or 5. That was everything I managed to get through in that little 24-hour video. Then I read The Furthest Station by Ben Aronovich, which it's a short novella, but I borrowed that from my library. And I really enjoyed that. I gave it 4 stars. I finished the Rivers of London series last year, and I loved that series. Like, it was such a good series. But I listened to all of that on audio. This was my first experience actually physically reading it. But I could still hear the narrator's voice in my head, and I just still had a great time. And I loved being back in that world. And I'm really excited because we're actually getting a new book in that series this year. So I'm just thrilled. And then I read The Silent Ones by Ali Knight. Again, this was a bit of an odd one. I think I'd got it from my daughter's school. They were giving loads of books away, and she brought it home, and then she didn't want to read it, so I did. And it was fine. Like, it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. But I couldn't tell you what it was about because I've forgotten. Then I listened to the audiobook of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I love Grady Hendrix. I love his writing. I love his storytelling, the setting, the vibes, the characters, and the element of horror it's just that element of horror that I enjoy. So it's not like super, super scary horror, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of like fun horror. It's like 80s. It's kind of like 80s, those kind of horror films. I'm not making any sense right now. I can't articulate what I'm trying to say. So I'm not, do you know what? I'm not going to bother. I gave it 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed it. Not as much. I think my favourite still is A Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and How to Sell a Haunted House. Those 2 are my favourites. Then I would say Horror Store. Then My Best Friend's Exorcism and Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, probably, again, on an even playing field. But I did really, really enjoy it. And I've only got 2 more books of his to read. And then I've read his entire backlist. So I'm excited to see what he comes out with next. And then the final book that I did in March was another audiobook, and it was The Five, which is The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Rubenhold. Now, normally I don't rate things like this, but I gave it 5 stars because 1, I enjoyed it so much, but 2, I gave each of those women a star because after listening to it, you can't not. She goes into so much detail. There must have been so much work and effort and research put into that book, you know, to find out about these women and their lives. And it was just really eye-opening and just absolutely fascinating. And yeah, it was great. I would highly, highly recommend it. And yeah, that was everything that I read for the month of March. And then finally, let's get on to April. Out of the 8 TBR picks, I only managed to read 3. I read a total of 13 books in April. 5 of them were audios, 4 were physical, and 4 ebooks. And I had 4 5-star reads. I'm just trying to think. There must have been some... Hold on. Oh, no, that's fine. Sorry, guys. I'm getting confused at my own bloody writing. So, yeah, I had 4 5-star reads, and I had no DNFs last month in the month of April, which is great. We want to keep that at 0 as much as we can. So... I started out the month... Sorry, I'm really uncomfortable, guys. I just need to move a second. I started off the month reading Finding Happiness at Heritage View by Helen Rolfe on Kindle Unlimited. And I read this because it was the final book that I needed to read in the Heritage Cove series. It was fine. Probably my least favourite in the series, if I'm being honest. I gave it 3 stars, but I'm very, very glad that I completed the series. Then I listened to the audiobook of Blood and Steel by Helen Scheurer. I think that's how you say her name. I decided to give this one a go because I'd seen Steph from Steph Loves like devour the series very recently. So I was like, I want to see what that's all about. And I listened to the audio and I absolutely loved it. And I gave it 5 stars. I think it's YA and I think it's a bit of an older series. But do you know what? I had a great time. And that's all that matters. It was the vibes. It was the atmosphere. And our main character, I just love her. And I'm really excited to continue the series. And I'm hoping it's going to be a 5-star series for me. Then I'll listen to the audiobook of The Noise by James Patterson and J.D. Barker. We all know that I love James Patterson, but for some reason, he's more newer stuff that he does with with other people, and he, you know, I'm not enjoying it as much, guys. I'm really not. I prefer like his older stuff, and I prefer the stuff that he does mostly like alone or with some of the people that he's been writing with for years. But I've read 2 books now by him and this J.D. Barker, and guys, they're just weird. They're just so weird, really fast paced, but super weird. So I gave that one 3 stars, and I was just glad that it was done and I could get it off my physical TBR, because it was on my physical TBR, but I audiobooked it instead. Then I read The House of Hopes and Dreams by Trisha Ashley. She's one of my favourite romance authors as well. And I borrowed this one from the library. And this one was a bit long. It wasn't my favourite from her, but I still just love her writing. And I love the slice of life that she kind of creates and all of the characters. And I gave it 4 stars. Then I read... Sorry, guys. I could feel that sneeze building for ages, and it just wouldn't come out. Anyway, then I read One Dark Window, which again I forgot to pick up. I've bought it physically now, but I read this on Kindle Unlimited by Rachel Gillig, and guys, this was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I read it really quickly. I kind of read a bit of both. I read a little bit on the ebook and then a big chunk of it physically. So I counted it more to my physical books because I read most of it physically, but I just forgot to pick it up. But I gave it 5 stars. I thought this was really unique. It was something different. I liked her writing. I liked the characters, and I'm really excited to get to the second one and finish off the duology and see where the story goes. But yeah, that one was absolutely fantastic, and I would highly recommend it. Then I read 2 more books from the Rivers of London world by Ben Aronovich. These are another 2 novellas, and again, I'd borrowed these from the library. So I read What Abigail Did That Summer and The Masquerades of Spring. Now, What Abigail Did That Summer, I gave 4 stars. Really enjoyed that one. Abigail is such a fun little character. But then The Masquerades of Spring was something a little bit different, and we're following one of our older characters, Nightingale, and it's back like sort of set in America, and he goes over there and he follows a friend, and then there's this... It was just a little bit... It fell a little flat for me. It was probably my least favourite thing that I've read from this world. And I gave that one, I think I gave it 3 stars. It was fun. It was fine. But it just took me out of the world a little bit. And like, I enjoyed Nightingale as a character because I love him. But I didn't really like the way the story was being told by this other main character. I just didn't, it wasn't my favourite. So that was that. Then I read on Kindle Unlimited Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage because I was very excited for it and I wanted to finish off the series. And I gave that one 4 stars. I liked it. I just didn't like it as much as some of the others. I was really excited for Cam and Dusty's story. The 3rd act breakup really annoyed me, or the conflict or whatever. And Cam just, she felt different in this book to how she'd been sort of like portrayed in the other books, and she got a little bit on my nerves, if I'm being honest, towards the end. So I don't like saying things like that about our main female characters, but sometimes they do. You just want to be like, oh, please, just get on with it. Like, you know, like, anyway. But I did enjoy it, and I'm glad I wrapped up the series, and I'm excited to see whatever we get next from Lila Sage because I really, really like her writing. Then I listened to the audiobook of A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. I just love her writing. I think her writing is just so lyrical and whimsical, and I just really enjoyed it. Did I enjoy it as much as Ruthless Vows and Divine Rivals? No. But it was still really strong. It was solid, and I enjoyed the story. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm looking forward to finishing off the duology and reading the 2nd book, hopefully very soon. Then I read The Fake Out by Stephanie Archer. Now, I'm holding up the physical copy, but I did read most of it on Kindle Unlimited, so I counted it towards the ebooks. I loved this, guys. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It was fantastic. I loved Behind the Net. I gave that 4.5, but this one just... I just loved them. I just loved them as a couple, and I loved the story, and I loved the plot and everything about it. And I'm looking forward to reading the next one, The Wingman. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it as much. I already have that feeling from the little snippet that I think I read at the end of this one. But I'm hoping I'm still going to really enjoy it. Almost as much as Behind the Net, but probably not as much as this one. I know that going in. This one is definitely my favourite. It was fantastic. So that was 5 stars. Then I read... I did the audiobook. I've got the physical book, but again, I did the audiobook for this one. And it's Wayward by Amelia Hart. And this was just stunning. I love stories like this. I love, you know, books about women and kind of witchcraft and what it was like back then for these women. And this was heartbreaking in so many ways, but she did it justice, and I just fell in love with these characters, and I couldn't not give it 5 stars. It was phenomenal. I loved it. Then I listened to The Bone House by Caroline Mitchell. This was book 3 in the Slayton Thrillers. This finished off the series for me because I don't think there's any more have come out. I don't know if she's planning on bringing them out. But this one, again, was enjoyable. I gave it 3 stars. I've given every single one in the series 3 stars. They're very quick, easy reads. And I would recommend them if you're looking for... They're really good for like 24-hour challenge, that kind of vibe. And yeah, I enjoyed it. 3 stars. And then finally, I read the ebook of The Spite House by Johnny Compton. Now, look, I gave this one 3 stars because the writing was great. And I'm pretty sure, I think it was his debut. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me. But his writing was solid. It was really, really good writing. And I can't criticize the writing. But the story was just a little bit weird. And, you know, it fell a little bit flat for me with what it was trying to do. Having said that, I did enjoy it. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it. 3 stars is still a good, solid rating, but it just didn't hit for me. I just was looking for that little bit more, and it just didn't quite deliver. But that is everything. That is all the books that I have read from February, March, and April. And I'm going to do my best to make sure I'm doing my monthly wrap-ups again so that I don't have to sit here and jibber-jabber for over 30 minutes about books. But I'm so glad if you're here and you made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching my videos and for supporting me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next one.